heavily. Okay, I'm sorry there, Carry to Zero. Is Carry to Zero the song name or the band name? Either way, I'm sorry we have to mute you, but we in game now. Ooh. Have I done this one like at all? Blech. Carry to Zero was the song name, right? Huh. Things you learn.
What the fuck?
I know, right?
Just remember,
Didn't even go to university.
you need enough change in the mass to build up enough mechanical energy.
Your mum's mechanical energy. Get him. Boom. Whee! That didn't work. Maybe I just can't do it. Definitely got to go light. Just gotta weigh it down. Boom, baby. Let me out there, you
Think of
slice.
this highly complex piece of technology as a trampoline. A
mama.
double bounce could help.
Double? Oh, like the jump at the end. That's what I was doing. Ugh. Oh no! I get it. Yeah. Okay, so we go boom, baby, slam dunk, baby, boom, baby, slam dunk, baby, boom, baby. There we go. We got it, and life was splendid. Okay. You love that Wolf Parade song way too much. Spotify showed me that one yesterday. Nice, and you've heard it like 10 times since. Yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying Spotify. You're upset you didn't come to Music Club. Oh, you're talking to Kyle, because I was there. Me and Akane were fucking living it up. Great time. Yeah. Time Magazine. Haven't wrote about it yet, but don't see why they wouldn't. Okay, so that's downstairs. So from what I remember is we don't really want downstairs. I do want that box though. Yeah. And it was literally like an hour ago. Not even that. I need that box back. You still down there, mate? Alright. Bye. Sweet.
It's time to spring into action. I cracked myself up.
Oh, fuck. Well. Where the fuck did the box go? Just... Yes, I'm rattling. So what's up for you, Carl? We're waiting, yeah. You saw it, but you knew that Yoda music wouldn't be appreciated? I would appreciate it, yeah. But you were cancelling 1 hour ago. Okay. That sounds like you missed something you would have enjoyed. Carl has a kid psych report and gets paid to cancel them. Oh, that's actually great business though, right? I mean, you can't fault the man for trying to make a living. Okay. Boom. Slam dunk. Boom. Grab it. Okay. So clearly it didn't work when I did it last time. But is it because I fucked up? Yes. So let's try again. No, that was just as bad. The box made it over. I need to hold the box, not let go of the box, maybe? Maybe it's as simple as that. Actually, kind of true. Nice, yeah. Get the sex bucket! Throws a pie at Island. Ooh, what time? But this guy is not a child and is potentially intellectually gifted. Oh, okay. Can they, like, play every song ever known in the world on piano? If not, then they're faking. No, I was trying to grab you. Okay, we're going to try this again. This time don't fail me. Because it's super rude when you fail me. Okay. I need to basically get like... Yeah, there we go. There we go. I just had to hold on. No, come back, my love. Oh, no. No! Oh, I need to save all the boxes. Yeah, I see my issue. Oh, better low. Did that one go on a conveyor belt? It did. Ah, okay. So I need to get 2 of them on a conveyor belt at once, I think. And then I'd like, then I'd do the old boom, baby. And everything's fine. You're potentially intellectually gifted? I mean, that's true. If you haven't tested, you don't know that you're not. And you wed a pie. They're two good sentences to have next to each other. Okay, so I need to have like one there. I need to. I mean, I'm hearing a noise that sounds like a bird in this game, or I think it's meant to sound like a bird, but it sounds more like someone being like pretending to be a bird, as in like, oh look, like our cover's been blown. All right, let's just give this a go. All right, you both get down with your funky selves. And when I say 12, you fly. 12. Huh. Oh shit, nearly didn't do it right. So I'm guessing I got like congest it. No, I don't really know what I want to do, I guess. I guess that's the real lesson in life. Yeah. So I'm upset that you cucked built to spill, carried a 0. I know. I know. It's hard, right? I think it's the creature that is following you around. Oh, it could be, yeah. Little Tito? It's not Tito. Ike. Yeah. It made me search up the lyrics, and it's not the same. Oh, really? This fake bird is torturing you on my behalf. Well, I paused the song, so as long as I don't forget to unpause it, you'll still hear the rest of it. And it's not like me to forget stuff. Okay. Oh, that one's just staying still. Oh, hello. Okay, so maybe if I, like, stack these. No, come back. So I'm going to put 1,000 on each one, because I reckon 1,000's a good number. Yeah, sweet. Well, fuck me. Oh, hello. He wanted back on. Alright. Alright. Well, let's actually try 2 before I try 1,000. Oh. Well, fuck you then. Oh shit. Ooh, that one got blown up still. Bullshit. Oh, because I didn't actually put the armor on, I just turned everything else off. Well, shit. You're fucked. Oh shit. You've been doing like mescaline all day or something. Whining. Mojo. At least if it's skipped wolf parade, it's on. It's wolf parade is on. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Exactly. That's the way to think about it. Would you wear pie as a hat? I mean, it's the pork pie hat, a very famous hat. Hooty hoo, hooty hoo. Now, don't be dicks. Fly like sticks. Don't fall. Oh, I told you. Wag! Motherfucker. Fine, fuck off then. I need to reposition these because I'm doing it stupidly. I mean, those just like zoom into the middle. Zoop. I need it to like not rock. Okay, that's fine apparently. Good. Maybe I can try and get a third one on each one. Ooh, no, I'm going to try that now they're stacked better. And I'm going to stand back. Okay, sweet. You see that box? Good stuff, right? Fly! Where do you have to? What? Why didn't you fly? Piece of shit. I'm guessing I meant to actually make them come down earlier, so they block the thing quicker. I suppose I'll get sorted too quick, I guess. I mean, I haven't really figured out what I'm meant to do here. I'm just throwing shit across the room. More is a face mask and a hat combo. Okay. Boxes never listen. I know, right? Like, you try and talk to a box, and the dickhead just acts like a fucking wheel or some shit. Pies protect from COVID. Huh. That's good. But dessert or meal pies? Because they're two very different foods. You know, got hair on my face. Safe along. So close to finishing for the weekend. So goddamn close. What is it? 4:30. What is it? 5 o'clock. You're finished. Just believe in yourself, my man. Spirit of Jar, what guides you through? Okay. This is looking pretty sexy. Now this time, obey my physics. Right, okay. Settle, settle, settle. Fly! Okay, that's better. And the other two just fell back down. Oh, that's what's happening. So just loads of boxes down there. Huh, it was a little bit. Okay. True, when you hear pie, you think of dessert pie. Yeah, see, I think of dinner pie. Like, a dinner pie is the one you think needs to be clarified if you mention it. See, I think in England, if you said pie, people would probably think like pie and mash before anything else. But 4:30, but you've got stuff to do, so you finish whenever you're done. Oh, okay, right, okay, I see. Seizure. But maybe that's cultural. Yeah, see, I think it is. Like, I think dessert pie is much bigger in America, but if you said pie here, people would assume, yeah, like a meat pie. Generally speaking. What the fuck am I meant to do on this level? I know I'm meant to block those. Am I just meant to send, like, all of the boxes over? That exists. Excuse me. I did abuse it. Don't remember what I abused, but it's probably fair that, yeah. As far as you know, the most common meal pie for us would be like a chicken pot pie. Yeah, fair, yeah, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, see, ours would be like a steak and kidney pie, maybe a chicken pie. These little bentos ones, but no one really wants to eat pie out of a tin. It's a bit jank, right? If you hear pie, you would think of something like meat and potato pie. Yeah, there you go, yeah. Yeah, I think in England, like, meat pies is the first for a good old meat pie. Oh. Okay. Stacks upon stacks upon stack. Fuck you. Stacks upon stacks fly! Right. Good. Now the thing is, how am I even going to get back there unless I fling myself over? That's probably what I was meant to do actually, right? I'm learning this level very slowly. Let's just see if I can go on a little ride. Oh, I can't crouch. Yeah, it makes me jump. In fact, you know that a local restaurant by you offers free pie with dinner on Sundays. Yeah, see that sign, I'd instantly think like, what? I'll be like, I'm getting free dinner with dinner? What the fuck? It would take me a second probably to be like, oh yeah, dessert. If I was over here, I suppose if I was already in America, I'd be thinking a bit different. I'd be like, hi, I'm in America. I'd like a pie, please. That's just how I think, you know. Might as well take one for the ride, I guess. Oh. Okay. Son of a bitch, I can't... I forgot about physics.
Satisfying, isn't it?
Oh. Okay. Okay. Come here, buddy. I went into the laser, motherfucker! And I learnt to whistle. This game's like, you'll never learn how to do this. It's like, I learnt all of this. I am a big dummy, but... And I hope you take that into consideration next time. Alright. Get the fuck over there. But stop.
You
I need to go on
suck!
the conveyor belt. Oh, I missed them by a long shot. I didn't want them on the conveyor belt. And, yeah. Yeah, US pie definitely makes me think of Twin Peaks. Some nice cherry pie. And a heart cup of coffee. Although, coffee's horrible. But, pie is the best pie. It's pie made from the out-of-date other pies. Like a combo of all of them? Sounds damn right evil. Like dessert and meat pies and stuff. That's... I don't know. And what have you got fish pie mashed up in there? Like, I don't mind fish pie on its own, but I don't want fish pie in my fucking, like, chocolate or cherry pie, you know? Do you know? Shit, man. I need to activate those way earlier if I don't want them to get stuck over there. Or if I do want them to get stuck. I want them to, like, hit this bit first. Because they just go into their little holes over there. KY pie is great. I think you're thinking of a different type of pie there, my friend. Oh yeah, I forgot that I can't actually do this. I should just drop that like that, yeah. Whee!
Satisfying, isn't it?
Oh shit, I broke that. Is that what I was meant to do? Oh, that probably is. Yeah, that's totally what I was meant to do. Oh my god. Okay, sweet. Huh. EZ all day long. Oh, Kai's pie. Oh, I get ya. I get ya. Fuck you. Fuck you, books. I can't throw books very far. No scope. Ooh, nearly failed that. No scope. Like One room, please. Okay, we're getting Daft Punky in here. Fuck you. Oh shit, it's a real laser. What if I Kobe it? Hey, sweet. Oh, alright.
One can never be too safe. Pun, pun, pun. I was quite the champion at shot put during my years in college.
So that's a good start, but I
on the
fucked up
track and
really,
field
because I
team.
need to do this one first, I guess. Okay, I reckon what I need to do is like throw one over there in anticipation for that one. So, do that. Don't go in the laser. Thank you. And then we do this one. Twin Peaks pie is a great way to think about pie. Yeah, that's like, for Americans, that's my first thought, basically. Oh, you son of a hedge fuck. Like, why would you fuck a hedge? Oh. That's it, stay out of the light. Fuck you. That's my boy. That's my boy. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna get my book, but I can't. I'll die.
The electromagnetic
yeah.
microreactors, or
Come on,
electropads,
donut. It's been a while
if you're
since
so
I've had a good
inclined,
donut, you
will
know.
all require a conductive polycell.
Go spit stuff. Spit fat. Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
I also happen to be on the basketball team as well. Nice shot!
Thanks. I was all state. Probably. I was a state. One of the two. Alright. Just go dunk on this bitch. Gonna dunk on a fool, yeah. Give me the loot, give me the loot. Give me the loot, give me the loot. Got him. Oh, look, there's bitch face. Oh, shit. Alright. Come to butthead. Oh, fuck it. Whoop. I need a new ball. New balls, please. I'm gonna try for that side first. You being all state says more about the state of England basketball. I did. I mean, like to be fair, I did play for a basketball team, and I had trials for England when I was younger. I didn't make it, but I went to the trial day. The invites. I think they said I was just too baller. You know how it goes. Same old song and dance, really. Okay, yeah, that's what I was hoping would happen. I believe that your approach pretty decent as well. Thanks, yeah. I mean, I always thoroughly enjoyed it. I was quite a tall kid, so it was an easy thing. And like you said, England not exactly known for being great at basketball, so like it was a good one to get into. I think I just need to lob it into there. I don't think I get enough. Oh, yeah. They invited everyone in the country who was over 6 foot. Yeah, that's it. Dude in my class was also at b-ball and went to America to play for a college. Fucking A. Yeah, one of my mates from school, like in later years, because I did. I died. I did like my basketball stuff. But I like finished it by the time I was like 14 or so. Like 13 or 12 to like 14 was when I really was like proper excelling at it. But like I had a buddy who when we were like 16 to like 20 who was playing for like the England team in basketball. But he fucked his knee up, like completely blew it out, and had to basically stop, which was really savage. Damien, if you're watching, shout out, bruh. Basketball was awkward for me as a big because I always played centre, but as an adult, you're not big enough to be in centre. Yeah, see, I played centre most of the time as a child because I was massive compared to other kids. Although there was a lot of tall kids playing basketball, obviously. But yeah, I was a giant. I was a fucking giant. I was a centre as well for the most part. But yeah, as I got older, I wouldn't have been tall enough for a centre. Like if I wanted to go like pro kind of shit, I'd have been lucky to been a point guard at like 6'4". Like fucking hell. He went on to the pros, but you think he plays for Manchester Giants now? That's still fucking sick, man. Manchester Giants, I don't know if the London Towers are still called the London Towers. It was always the Manchester Giants and London Towers that were the shit in England, like the two best ones for sure. Now I should be able to double down on this. Yeah, there we go. Bear down for midterms. I didn't. Oh, okay. Didn't actually do anything yet. Sweet. So now you're like a power forward who doesn't have a jump shot. Eh, power forwards don't need jump shots. Just play by the board, baby. Playing quarterback in football is your favourite thing to do, though. See, I played rugby a couple of times, but I couldn't even tell you one position in rugby, or let alone what I do. Can't play a water boy position. Legit move from like centre to small guard, fair play. You like to call yourself the emotional support coach. Aww. Used to play the best kind of basketball. Yeah, mate, I'd love to fucking get into that, man. Like, although it's brutal, right? Like, I was looking, like, a good few times I've looked around this area for, like, wheelchair basketball teams, but there's nothing, really. Which is quite sad, because I would genuinely like to give it a go. I fucked that up completely. I probably just need to smash through there, right? Let's smash. No one saw that, right? But, yeah, I would actually, like, if I'd like to do maybe not the full-on one, but I'd quite like to actually do, like, I'd quite like to actually try some wheelchair basketball, like, properly. Geronimo? Oh, I got you, baby. I got you. Never let you down. Never let you frown. Never make you eat Eskimo pie. Or hurt you. It can be right, yeah. I missed some comments. 2 seconds. Be the change you want to see in the world. That takes a lot of effort, Kyle. You want to wait till someone else does it and then just jump on the bandwagon, so it's a lot easier. You kind of miss it, to be honest? Yeah, right? I think it'd be really good fun. Like, I don't know how good my back would hold out with it, but I'd love to give it a try, even if it was just a bit more casual. Casual wheelchair basketball sounds fun. Yeah, right? Yeah. Go rock climbing with, like, chairs and shit. You don't fully understand how dribbling works in it. Isn't it, like, you actually have to dribble, right? I think you're allowed to, like, move with the ball for, like, 2 steps worth or something like that. Feel free to correct me, Almighty, but I believe, like, yeah, like, you bounce the ball. Like, you're allowed to do, like, 1, 2 pushes. Oh, that's it, isn't it, right? 2 pushes on your wheelchair, but then you have to, like, bounce the ball again. I think that's how it works. I don't know if when you played it Almighty if it was, like, full-on rules or if it was, like, you know, whatever. But what if the change you want to see involves other people changing and me being the same? See, Einen gets it. Make the pamphlets and mail them out. No, because you don't get it. He wants to stay the same. He's not mailing out pamphlets at the moment. Yeah, Kyle, I mean, come on, dude. When I tried Wheelchair Basketball, they accused me of faking and tipped me out my chair and chased me out. Wow, that's bastardry, yeah. Did they run after you? Or? Oh, okay. You initiate legal action. That's probably the best thing to do. Sue the wheelchair basketball teams. Maybe that's why I can't find any, because I keep getting sued. So, are they... I mean, I just assume they're meant to smash each other. Some sort of lovers. Boom. Oh, shit. Okay, so... oh, maybe I'm going to use the... No, because that ball... Getting this ball out replaced that ball. Right, I'm going to put you here. Alright. And you're coming with me. Oh no, I'm in the shoot off this thing, aren't I? Let me just try. Don't work very well. So I reckon... So I put this on here. And I put these down. And I get ready to grab this one. Hopefully I grab this. I launch in the air with it. That hits me and knocks me over enough that I can then slam dunk. Oh, I missed it. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to try when I can eventually get to it. You'd push some degree and bounce ball. Okay, right. You're very suitable. I called you Sue. Running after him would ruin their argument somewhat. Yeah, exactly. You would sort of alternate between pushing and bouncing. Okay, cool. Followed you on Spotify. Oh, okay, nice. A bit of it all. 2,100. Yeah, right. That's my master list. So like, basically, I had Spotify like what 10, 15 years ago when it was free, like when it first came out, and then just forgot about it. And I started the bit of it all. I think. Oh no, did I start a bit of it all? I started at least I think reggae things or the reggae track one, and like maybe Ill Behavior. But then I've been making a few more, but Bit of It All is all of like my master list of songs. That also already has all of my YouTube playlist songs on. And I've gone through most of the artists like in my actual like library of music as well on my computer. Oh shit! And everybody! If you now search for Kieran Lawrence on Spotify with the correct spelling, you will find The Squirrel and the Albatross is good to go. Still waiting for my actual artist page like permission thing, but you can listen to me on there now. You can pop me in your playlist if that's what you want to do. You can just know that dreams can come true. You're looking inside and the side of you. I haven't actually popped up a thing for it, so just search for me on YouTube at the moment. Yeah. Fly. Oh look, there's a thing up there. Oh yeah, I forgot about the double jumps and shit. Science ball, come with me. Come to Butthead. I'm never gonna figure this one out. He's trying to teach us to spell his name right. I know, right? And why have you spelled your first name differently for Spotify? I haven't. That's how the world should be spelling it, alright? I feel like I'm meant to break some of these pipes or something. Maybe let's just put them on the complete opposite sides of each other for now and see what happens. Hey, Peachy baby, I'm my girl. How y'all both doing? He doesn't want another Ernest Night. Okay, well, I mean, that did that. Okay. So this one does need to go in there because it's green. Yellow even. Fucking hell. Oh no, they're all yellow. It's all fine. Oh, avalanche. Oh, why you got your angry face on, Kyle? Like whack. Get it right. I mean, that wasn't his chosen name, okay? Kyle.mad at avalanche 2. Oh shit, Mocha.same. Oh shit. What's been going down? Do your spit thing again, I want to see what happens. Good shit. Hey, Hinsmo, how you doing, dude? Your church has still been empty for the month. Last time it got fixed in 2 minutes. That is savage. I can like kick it around, that's pretty cool. Alright. So when I did them on the opposite, they did meet in the middle. I don't have enough like things to like do all of these. They don't hit there, they just miss. Maybe I'm going to bang that down at the same time? You started another resistance weapon? Are we talking RP still, or are you talking a different game now? That's going to be restored, but the bug might be fixed where it wiped it in the first place. Right. Also don't want to really continue Dale's story without it. Okay, in total you've probably put like 20 hours of work in it. Fucking hell. Right, fair. Alright. Okay, let's do stream raiders quick and maybe I'll get some inspiration. So, make haste, kill everything. Blessed be. Starting over is not very enticing. Yeah, especially if you don't know it's going to be like actually fixed. Can we start the battle, please? Thank you. Jeez. Got to kiss out of the room before anything happens. Yeah, what's been going on that you like need the help with? I thought Sahar was quite chill. Although I've not really needed too much support stuff. Yeah, I didn't. I thought she was like, yeah, maybe an admin at most, really. Anyway, like I know she can do some stuff, but like I think she always still needs like their permission. Okay, but GG. Why is this lagging out so much? What's wrong, baby? There we go. Maybe it just needs to click around a bit more. Alright, so we're going to head up here. Yeah, we'll go to this prick. Alright, 4 skulls. Let's get them. Get them. Let's get them. Okay, Bomberman is all there. So we're going to do the Buster. Okay, get your troops and everybody. Have some fun. And murder. Okay. There's a bug where all the continents will just completely disappear, yeah. So they're able to reload it to a previous version before it just let me keep building, but that hasn't been done. Maybe it can't be done now. Right. Oh yeah, because I suppose I don't know if it's like a length-based thing, you know. Is there any more glass I can smash? So it came in from there. We worked for 2 days. Fucking A, Mojo, baby. Alright. Alright. I know what to do. This is going to be perfect. Probably. No. No, I don't know what to do, actually. That was a lie. No fucking idea. Be genuinely interaction with Saha. I know, right? I've only ever had like really good interaction with Saha. Called off for using a phone and driving as a Sasquatch. Oh right, okay. Well, that's what I need to do, really. But then I think it always fucks up when I try it like this myself. Oh, Kobe. Oh, get in there, you bitch.
Well played.
Okay. Cool. Okay. At fair, though, that's telling PT how to RP. Right, yeah. It's supposed to not rob. Yeah. If there's going to be, like, you have to allow some sort of, like, stuff with, you know, those more meta characters, like a Sasquatch or something. But it's a GCHCP, yeah, I suppose. But I mean, yeah, Sasquatch doing like zombies, I guess. But it's also in a group of mysterious others past the rules for Sasquatch characters, personally. Right. Come to find a fancy. Come to find a fancy 14 for your RP. Okay. Oh shit! I nearly dropped that there. Can I stand on this? No, throw it. I'm still standing on it, shit. I can't grab it. I can't grab it, what the fuck? I can't grab it when it's in the air? That doesn't make sense, right? I need that other brick back, but... Oh, it's over there still. Alright, sick. Zombies are also not allowed to drive or use phones, by the way. Okay. I mean, that's it. I mean, if they're... I suppose it is meant to be still somewhat realistic. But I say that with a Jesus character. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. So, yeah, devil, Jesus, robot, zombie, leprechauns, but no Bigfoot. But I suppose those characters are humans, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know really enough about any of what's actually happening to comment on it fully, I guess. You also think it may have been because there used to be multiple Sasquatches, so it just kind of represent everything they did, maybe? Okay, yeah. A Bigfoot lawyer or judge would be fun, yeah. Jesus is human, yeah, I think that is a big part of it. I mean, if you're getting Bigfoot from Bigfoot and the Hendersons, though, he did quite a lot of human shit, right? Yeah, my version of Jesus is becoming more and more mortal the more he's on the earthly realm. He thought it was crack cocaine doing it to him at first, but he is just slowly becoming mortal. Who's that behind me? Oh, that's probably just well, if you can see them, that's a bit alarming, because usually it's just the poltergeist. But you can't usually see the poltergeist. Usually just what they're carrying around and shit. Yeah. You assumed Fizzle's Jesus is just mentally unwell. Yeah, he is a bit. Well, he's not too bad. He's done a few crimes. He's only raptured one person. He's liberated a few people, 2 people, I think, from their supplies. But I've taken lots of donations. Like, I'm mainly going around asking for $50,000 donations towards towards getting to church and an upgrade for the Holy Whip. You are not alone. Everyone that you met has mentioned Jesus. That says he's a crackhead who thinks he's Jesus. Oh, really? Well, his license says Jesus, but that's amazing. That's still good. And I mean, he has done crack. No, yeah, no, was it crack he did? Yeah, it was crack. It was crack he did. Yeah, but he's only done crack once. He's more of a meth seller at the moment. That's what he tried to tell her, but she said can't even own a phone, so that really cripples me. Right? Yeah. Been able to see poltergeist ever since you got hit by that lightning strike. Oh, nice. Oh shit, there's been lightning around here as well. Maybe that's what's like boosting it for you. Trying to build a church. I know, right? Yeah. Don't worry, I already know. Like Ralphie showed me where would be a good spot. Oh, you bastard! No, you bastard! He already showed me where would be a good spot for like for Jesus' church. Kobe.
Hooped it.
Oop, there it is. Oh. Probably a church full of stuff too, Kyle. Well, I want to take over the Epsilon church. Anna and Kyle want to fight. That's beautiful. Yeah, lick his butt. Well, hopefully it can still happen.
I believe you're close to the generator in that sector. A little further.
No scope. Whoa. Oh, reverse waist. Oh, I didn't even jump and I still did it.
My feels like I've been hit squarely by a
That time I
2x4,
jumped.
and I
That's good.
still haven't regained my memory. That's splendid. So, you need to be over by that blast
Minor
door, but it looks like
inconveyance.
you're going to have to go through the object distribution system to get
Oh
there.
man, these people, they're great. Alright, I'm just gonna jump. No? Oh, okay. Easy.
Watch it now.
What do I need to watch? This is a piece of piss, mate.
Jump!
I know I'm gonna jump.
This is definitely not the right place for you to be.
I'm hoping I've done enough here.
Easy now.
Alright, sweet. Have a nice day, chair. Oh, I need a chair on the other side, really. Are they coming on the other side? They're not. Oh, but what I need to do is lift one onto the other side. Like a genius, man. Get over there, please. Alright. Right, now protect me. Or you're fired. Okay, sick. Thank you. Okay. I'll check the comments in a moment. There's a few lasers. Actually, I can pause. We'll pause, and then I'll worry about lasers. So, so the UOT mate started. The fight happened. And Kyle won it. Nice. Oh, he still feels empty. But yeah, you got some dough and shit now, yeah. If you want to replace those teeth Kyle knocked out, you've got a tooth guy. Nice. Unfortunately, it seems Kyle is the first and only person to get this bug where all the furniture is up for them to fix if they can't recreate it, yeah. But they could try building in the church itself, right? But they still have permissions to do that? It makes a lot of sense if I was doing shit that broke the game, but it was also stable like 1.5 weeks, yeah. Join the dev team and fix it. There you go, yeah, that's probably the best way to get it. There was a long interval of time where we had a full woman said, yeah, because you showed me the clip, Kyle. And it looks cool. A double dog dares you. I mean, yeah. If Enzo got it, I'm sure stuff would actually get sorted quite quick. Because it is a small dev team as well, but I suppose that is part of the problem. Like, they always have to prioritise the shit that fucks most people over rather than, like, a few people, I guess, but it's a shame if you know there's, like, an easy fix as well. Whee! Oh, fatting day. Oh, fatting day, mate. Think I haven't seen lasers before? Oh shit. Think I haven't seen giant clamps before? Ooh. Clamps! Ooh. Think I haven't seen checkpoints before? Fuck out.
Almost
Speed
there.
run time, baby.
I think.
Oh. Come to Butthead. Whoa, what's going on? What's happening here? Ah. Assume they only keep backups for so long, Carl, so rolling back one day probably isn't a big deal, but rolling back a week might not be possible. Yeah, that's fair too, but the vocal report was put immediately, yeah. Hey, and Doc, how you doing, my man? Yeah, I've read, man. I've seen that Dougie's no longer a part of it. I mean, I don't really know what fully happened, but That's a shame, dude. I fucking loved Doug's interactions as a EMS and that. But how you doing beyond that, by the way? Rogue reports I looked at on the weekends when Snow and Sky aren't working on their road jobs yet, fair. You've opened up a ticket and gone through administrative follow-up too, yeah.
Almost there, I think.
Whee. Fly. Heyo. Oh shit. Oh. 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 Ah. I need one of those boxes. No, come back. Come. No, 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 no. Oh, I'm so good. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah, we're so good. We got this. And that remote G thing, baby. Oh. Alright. To Valhalla. Fuck. Yeah. I think it's just lost cause, right? You actually said, by the way, I will apply to a dev team and see if I can fix it. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, go for it, yeah. Did someone say your name? Wait, was Arya here? Did I miss Arya coming in? Because I see someone challenge him to a fight. Did someone say your name? Oh, you heard lost cause. Get him. It was my fault. No. I mean, I did see kind of what went down. Like, well, I saw, like, you had to, like, leave the scene or something, right? But... It's bugged. At least when I could talk to a developer who was familiar with what I was trying to do. Yeah, right. Okay. Oh. Oh, that probably isn't the best positioning for it, but... Oh, I need to break that first. Alright, bear with me a moment. Stop into the platform. Got you. Fly with gusto. Got the next box. Oh, you, mate. Come here. Oh. Okay.
Nicely done.
Thanks. They said I could be a box surfer if I ever really just put my mind to it when I was younger, but it was just too early, you know? I wasn't really ready to make that kind of commitment. Yeah. Well, I'm more familiar. Yeah. Everyone else wasn't, but it's been frustrating. But Rocket League has been fun. Oh, real life has been fun. Or real life or Rocket League has been fun. Maybe both. Do my best. I'll speak to you next weekend. Fucking A, dude. Yeah, man. Go for it. To be fair, you've been able to help with a lot so far, like, Ems, even if it's just, like, helping Sky with little bits. I reckon it'd be sick. And Jimmy, my man! How you doing today, buddy? Lovely to see you, dude. Oh, shit. I tapped back out to my chat, and this is happening now. I was up on a test dev server last week. Yeah, it was you and Ralphie, right? Hey, and thank you for the clip, dude. Did mean Rocket League. Okay, nice. Third Eye system seems like a minor update, but it's going to improve the in-game frame PS by a good amount. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's quite a familiar way of doing it for other servers as well. Me and Kyle going up here as private detectives and solve crimes together and have a smoky, poorly lit office with us. I would love it if there was a private detective firm. That'd be really cool. And I am doing great, cheers, Jimmy, my man. Both in Rocket League and real life. And kind of in this game. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun in the game.
The generator room for this sector
I like that I can smash it.
ahead.
Yeah, see? Smash it. In a police station there is a tiny interrogation room with a
Hey,
ceiling
look at
fan,
it this
persistent
way.
cigarette
The
smoke.
worst
It's perfect
that
for
can
you.
happen
Even
is
has
that
one-way
you
glass. There you go.
fail
Fucking A.
miserably.
Wee. Sent me some pictures. Oi, oi, about to get the Jimmy nips. Let's see. Alright, 2 seconds. Excuse me. Oh, shit. Jimmy's been watching the Blender Guru. Boy. Sorry about that. Hopefully I'm muted, but fucking A, dude. That's looking sick. Jimmy, my man. Okay. Well, Jimmy's on the 3D modeling flex right now. He's done himself a donut that's looking banging. And he's done himself a nice little glass of light beer with some nice carbonation in it. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I just saw another message that makes sense. So, yeah. Fucking A, Jimmy, dude. I really look forward to what you like come up with and stuff.
Fantastic.
And if you ever
Maybe.
like make models and
If
UV
you
unwrap
can
them
get
and
to
want
the
someone to do some
generator, I'll
textures,
tell you what to
you
do.
hit me up for fucking sure. just wanted to redecorate, you know, it's a bit dark in here. Oh look, there's lasers. Look at us. Death. What are they doing? Are they gonna kill my chairs? No. Oh. I love that chair. Well, we've got one chair down there. Does someone come back or no? I keep missing comments. I need to keep up with this shit. First, we're going to practice throwing our fedoras into a coat hanger in the corner. Yeah, once we're done with private detectives. That's true. That is actually true. You need to be alcoholics too, though. Just keep that in mind. Hey. It's because money's a bitch. That's it, yeah. Woo. Fuck you. Oh, oh no, not a tit. I actually did really well and then... Well... Life is like a box of eggs. Sometimes it just gets spoiled. Oh shit, that didn't work at all. Death becomes me. Enough for office, only in music. Only music will be bass. Just have followed Blender Guru's tutorials? Yeah, hells yeah, man. Except for the glass of beer, you watch some here and there, but mostly done it by yourself. Fucking A. That one looked really good. What render engine does Blender use at the moment? Is Buckleby waiting for Doctor's Beam before he returns, by the way? No, I've just not had time. I do intend to like do more Buckleby, but if the Doctor thing comes in, I'll definitely do more Doctor-based stuff, I think. But I've also not been around as much. I haven't been able to do as much time on RP, let alone with Buckleby. Like, I still want to keep him, but I'm also aware, like, I'm not able to be on him much. So if it does come to a point that the medics do have to be on a bit more, then maybe he will have to, like, retire or something. But you can actually have a cigar in your mouth at all times, yeah, for sure. And it uses cycles, that's it. Okay, nice, cool.
For your general health and safety, I would recommend disabling those. The switches for the laser beams should be up there.
Oh, right, I got hit by a laser beam because it was at a slightly different angle that time because I was an idiot. Suppose just getting a PC, yeah boy. Or at least that's the thought. I think if he's off too much longer, he'll probably be demoted back to trainee. Unfortunately, have to go through training again. Okay, right. Now we just need to think of a cool name for us. We'll brainstorm. Unfortunately, Shocking George is taken. Crime Busters of the Sea. Try to fight for you to stay on the team, but it can't keep position forever. I mean, that's completely fair. Motherfucker. Yeah, that is fair. I just haven't had as much time, and I know... Oh, fuck you. And obviously, because of... Ernest fully owns the taco shop now, so, like, I'm trying to, like, make sure that I do a good amount for the fact that that's... Oh, fucking hell. Jesus Christ, how did I do this before? That first time round, I think I got super fucking lucky.
My man!
Oh, that actually hit me. Fuck. Forgot what stuff to do with my hands. My brain just was like, nah. Why even trying? Who do you think you are? Fuck you. I mean, come on. Come here. I said don't. I said don't. Like, honestly, sometimes inanimate objects just don't listen, right? Oh, shit me. Oh, fuck. No, bollocks. Mojo of a PC is all of your dreams, right? If you want to take leave on the bug, just drop a message in MS general chat saying it's busy from a viral stuff and he'll be back soon. That's not a bad idea, actually. So, Felicia. Oh, fuck you. Oh, no, shit, I should have just... But yes, there's other stuff, yeah. Our first case can be investigation of origin type taco meat. No, that's Burger Shot. Everyone knows Burger Shot's the human meat, so it's all good. I'm fine. I know where my meat comes from. A fridge. Or freezer. Don't know what to do next, though. Any suggestions? Maybe try Maybe try like like a tool, like a hammer. Something like a hammer where you can do like a handle and a head and do some nice like stuff on it. Maybe even like a building, like a simple building, because you can like base it on squares, but then try and do more from there. Yeah, and Bakura did meet my my new love. Well, she didn't throw up at the look of him, so that's always nice. You know, the secret is that we have to discuss everyone's embarrassing personal details. Secret. Oh yeah, we do have a secret EMS chat. That's my main thing of not wanting to leave. It's quite nice. She's good enough for a boy. I reckon so. So much about sketchy meat in the city. Oh shit. Oh yes, you do, right? Yeah, I think you even told me about it. The chicken place. I got a damn Windows 98 tower piece of 600. Oh Jesus Christ. You do need a slightly better computer, yeah. Just make sure you drive around the map and explore a ton. Yeah, it's protected would be fun. It was a serial motivation right now. You can show Malfi super secret area on the test server, so you only know about it out of character. Really wish you knew about it in character. Oh, really? Ooh. I wonder what it kind of is. Tell the bitch to fuck off. Nah, bless. Bakura was on his best behaviour and shit. And his best slippers on. I mean, this isn't really helpful. It's still kind of stuck. Wherever I went the first time round, I managed to throw it, so like, I had plenty of time to grab it, and like, oh, fuck you. Maybe I should just go towards the side. That's probably the easier option, right? Be an idiot. There's a conveyor belt, but... Fuck you! Oh, fuck. Oh. Checkpoint, bitch. Let's go. Oh. Huh. Wind tunnel. I did need that, though. Dickhead. Yeah, could you throw me a box, please? So otherwise this is going to be difficult. Shit. Do you want to know? I won't say where it is, obviously. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously it's all out of character, and I doubt I'll ever even have a reason to find it. And there's some Jesus, but that'll be down to Mr. California. Yeah, feel free to say what it is. As long as Ralphie, yeah, it doesn't mind. My main thing on single player is driving around exploring. I doubt RP will be much different now. Yeah, it is pretty much the same. Like, you can just do what you want for most of it. And you did have slippers on, yeah, they were nice. She sounds like Fairy London. Felicia's not her actual name. It's just when we started dating, like when I was telling Bakura and our buddy Riaz about it, our buddy Riaz he doesn't care for names, I guess. And just went like Felicia. So that's just like the way of not like doxing her and that. Yeah. No, you can't get in on the cuddles. I mean, he still come around on Fridays and shit, you know. It's all good. Does she have a summer house in Kensington? Not that I know of. But I'll ask, because sometimes you don't know until you ask, right? Hey, my chair's back. How you doing, mate? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lob you. And you're going to help me, somehow. Motherfucker! Well, new balls, please. Oh, I expected to die there. Come here, kill me. Okay, thank you. Her name is Mojo. Oh shit, the secret's out. It's a special weapons crafting bench. Ah, okay. It's very, very hidden. Not only is it a random door somewhere on the map, the actual entrance hidden inside the door too, behind a fake wall. It's utterly sick, but so well hidden. Okay, nice. That's pretty fucking awesome. That's kind of what I like giving Ralphie materials as well, because I'm sure he'll make some fun ass like weapons and shit. Oh, for fuck's sake, I do it every time. Every fucking time. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't enough. Okay, this time I'm not gonna fuck up. Oh shit, the winds, I forgot about the winds, I fucked up. Who could have seen that coming? Whoa. Well, I kinda succeeded, still. I mean, who saw that coming? Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're cool.
That's much quieter.
Felicia, right? Wow, imagine being a woman and having a name Mojo. Such a boy's name. Fuck you! Get it. Hey.
It was so safe where that was, though.
I'm gonna just like drop all those down there so it makes a mess. I reckon I am. I reckon if I do this, all of them will go in the wind chamber. Oh wait, no. I threw it. Oh no, no, the wind is on. I've missed my chance already. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm gonna get all of the furniture from over there over here. I mean, that's logical, right? Or maybe just see what this does when I press it, and then see what that door's about. Ow. Prick. Have fun. Oh, didn't quite work. Have double fun. Hit that maybe? Just gonna keep chucking you boys out. Bon voyage. Alright. Seemed good. Let me throw the chair too, I guess. Since you get a rat and one of them out after the black market got moved. Oh, rat and one of who out? I think I missed more stuff again. Oh, you have found a door that you can enter in a small enclosed room, but you didn't see any hidden passages within it, right? And you know where 2 workbenches are now, or usable ones. Fucking A. And of course, showed you one. Okay. That's the one you was gonna rat out. You guys just rat each other out so much. Or I know Enzo rats everyone out. Your character only know of red benches, not the others. Okay. Brian and Sin know a good amount. Okay. And have built lots. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Let's put those back out. The weapon bench is full on machine, not a crafting bench as such. It's a lathe. Okay. Right. The workbench would be for information control. What am I gonna do here? I mean, this door's open. Oh no, I couldn't just jump back in, I don't think.
You'll have to bridge the gap somehow since the scaffolding collapsed.
Right. Okay. Like that, I guess. Alright, cool. Just let me get some new balls on the pitch. Move with super shady timing. Yeah, somebody ratted out the black market, didn't they? If I remember rightly. Can you have your guy hold a pad and pen and take notes while you're talking to people? You can indeed. You can. You can even actually write the notes or fake taking notes. Didn't someone say who it was? Like out of character? I don't know why, but I feel like it was Ralphie. May not have been. I don't mean to call Ralphie a snitch. Oh. You believe it's Ralphie in character? Yeah, yeah. Oh, in character, your character thinks it's Ralphie. Okay, I fooled you. It was because of gang warfare, one of the gangs snitched to the cops to fuck over the other supply chain. Right, okay. Makes sense. Has anybody found the new black market yet? Yeah, that was silly. New balls, please? Okay, right. Let's set them up. So I can just... Son of a bitch. Get motherfucker. I was gonna say, let's set them up so I can always just aim from the same position. But then I can't get them out properly, so that kind of fucked up. Okay. That's probably good enough for a bridge, right? Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. Holy shit. These are not the droids you're looking for. Okay, well that one's a bit more gone now, you know. I don't want you. I want that prick. No, not you! Get away! Oh, you son of a bitch. Maybe I should turn this back on. Whee! Okay. There is no stopping me now. I know exactly what to do.
You'll have to
Perfection is
bridge
on my
the gap
side.
somehow since the scaffolding
Okay, that was a good
collapsed.
shot. That's perfect. That was even better than the second shot. Third time's a charm. I jump down here. I can get back in here. That's cool. Oh, maybe. Okay, so maybe I can get the other furniture. Be a long undertaking, but I think we can do that actually. What about market moved? Enzo used to use Ralphie to get the black market robbery tools fair. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's why you want that information, really, so you can actually sell it to the other person. Where'd you go over there? Hey, I think Stream Raiders might be ready. Well, you can fuck yourself. Force floating. Okay, that'll do for now. I don't want this chair. Come with me. Oh shit. That didn't really work too well, but I'm gonna get a fuckload of chairs. You was gonna buy location off of Fayushi before we had to leave for IRL problems. Oh shit, is he having IRL problems? I had no idea. Oh shit, I hope he's doing okay. Or was it you? And in that case, I hope you're doing okay. Magic Beans Detective Agency. That sounds pretty good, actually. I'd buy and eat there for whatever reason. Our character Ralphie charged Brian 100k for a hint on how to find the black market the day before it was moved. Damn. So for Brian, his money back when he found out. Oh, okay, fair. Yeah, yeah. I suppose he didn't know it was gonna happen, did he? Okay, let's see if we got enough here. Oh, that shit just fell. Jeez. No. You go here. No, stop. So why would you do this? What is your issue? Oh, look what you made him do. You made him go in there. And we have barely any furniture. Where do my chairs go? Son of a bitch. Oshisuke did say, well, it wasn't in Discord, but he deleted it, so I'm refraining from saying it, but he's healthy and fine. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll let, like, Sif say if he wants to say anything at any point. Oh, yeah, hope he's doing okay. It's not Chujishu, but that's your in-character suspicion. Okay. Huh. That didn't work out too well. Just gonna try for the 3 boxes. That'll probably be a long one. Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, totally. I haven't logged in since last week and didn't do anything, so who knows what the server's like now. But it's just on a break. Yeah, I like. It just seems for like RP sometimes people aren't. Yeah, just aren't on every now and then for whatever reason. So like, I just assumed it was one of those. But yeah. If anybody, oh shit! If anybody sees Sif in the meantime, please send them up. Good old days of watching him set himself on fire at beach. Yeah, exactly. Oh, God damn it! You're on a break. Ooh, that's a bit far down, but we can recover that. Oh no, we can't recover that. Well, we can, but it's just long. Oh, you fucker! This is taking so long. Don't know why I don't just do that. I haven't done this before. Just actually be patient and take my time. I suppose because if you take your time and you're patient and you fail, you've wasted more time. Whereas if you do it erratically and you fail, you're probably making good time. I could just do it for those 3. That's good to know.
Okay.
Speed run.
It looks as if the motor has stopped. You'll need to get that arm rotating fast enough to reactivate the generator.
Do it, I dare you. What an idiot, I wanted it. Okay. I'm gonna put you there. Now be heavy. Now be light. 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 Now be heavy.
One
now be
down,
light.
2 to go.
Now be heavy. Now be light. Now be heavy. Now be light. Now just carry on forever. Oi, oi. nice. Oh. Oh. Hitchhiker's Guide to Dimensions. They're back on the shelf. There we go. Who's just leaving all their books out? What's this one? Of Mice and Mandelbrot. Oh, okay. Getting on some mandalas and shit. Put that in there. Right, I mean, who doesn't put this shit away? What's this about though? Oh, it's a dog.
That wasn't so bad, was it? Why don't you take a look at those blueprints?
You haven't been in a city before, Carl. You'll be great with a bunch of new faces. Next time you fly in, there's a big group that has joined that are friendly with each other. Don't seem to be a gang, they just tend to do a lot of car shows and shit. Okay, in a street racers, fucking A. I mean, it says level select, but it never actually lets me select levels.
Good job. You are extremely good at being redundant.
Thank you. How redundant am I now? I've got to pick these back up when you get in this dimension again. Bitch. Oh, we'll open the shop. You'll have to bend over loads. Oh wait, can I just throw this through the window? No. If I throw many through the window? No. What about a book? Win a book. Fuck your window. No. I'm assuming I'll just carry on through this way then. Or not. We're back at the main level thing again now, so... No, is that just the first level again? Because I can't choose anything else beyond this one that says 20%. Street shows and her drugs bumping shit. Yeah, man, yeah, it all goes off. I think Crenshaw on Friday night is awesome. Oh yeah, well Mojo's thinking of getting a PC, so hopefully he does, and then yeah, I imagine he'll be on it. So what am I going to do here? Is there objectives? So it brought me back here, which makes me think I completed the level, right? I have found blueprints, but nothing's shown here. I feel like I'm going to change level, but I can't. Interdimensional shift taco. Dimensional guacamole. Straight dimensional cheese. 100% taco shell from freshly milked tacos. Alright, it's all checking out. Damn. I wonder if I can use some of these blueprints for the shop. What's this one? Well, this one involves dinosaurs as electricity. That's another good shout. This one's Singularity Toothpaste Retubiner. Oh. Right, okay. I don't know, I quite like just normal toothpaste. Cat always land on their feet now, but they always do anyway. Why would you need to... Nuclear clothes dryer? Okay, that makes sense, because it makes a lot of heat. Blueprints, I like that one. Good blueprints. And a blueprint tube. So that's where you store them. What's this one? Plutonium power. Mustache machine. Plutonium in. Mustache reaction chamber. Mustache out. Seems pretty good. Dinosaur tacos, yeah. Found a secret. Well, no, the dinosaurs were different. Dinosaurs their own thing. Tacos are their own thing as well. It's T-Rex. I think I'm at the point where if I'd already sorted my spare room into an office I'd ordered one today, but there's still work to be done. Yeah, the point now you wind up setting it up on a fucking bedside table with some uncomfortable shit. Yeah, that's fair. I'm assuming I just carry on back in here now. I don't really know what's going on. I assume I don't now. I assume I was wrong. Yeah. Mustaches. I'll put him up here near his buddy. Go be with your buddy. Stop not being with your buddies. I mean, is this the way I'm gonna go? Nope. Get in there. There's space. I know it. Shut up. Shut up. Fine, I'll put you on a separate shelf then. be like that. In the games you can stream, yeah. It's very not just make a post perfect. My mind is made up. No, yeah. Gonna take a few days to come. That's true. But your stream's a Minesweeper? Hell yeah. And that's it. Welcome to the PCMR, my man. Okay. So maybe I'm meant to go back into that level? I don't know if I'm gonna... I mean, this door opens, so maybe I'm gonna go this way.
There's something I must tell you.
Sweet.
My latest invention has required me to make a few adjustments to the house, since now one of the topics...
So, I'll change the field of view. Get another wee bit of motion sickness.
studying for several generations
much nicer.
are rifts existing between various dimensions.
Maybe you'll get a hot tub and make
I've
some
been
cash.
able to
There you
develop a
go.
power source that will
This game is
channel
also just
enough
way
energy
purple for
into
import.
one of
Like,
these
yeah, man,
dimensional
free
rifts
gaming.
that it can be widened enough to travel through.
Oh, I well overestimated that. I thought it was going to have a lot more drop. You can even stream your PS4 to your PC and play PS4 if you want to stream it. Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, that's what I've done every time I went out streaming, like
which allows you to travel
like
to
Spider-Man
whichever
and shit.
dimension has rifts in the area.
So I'm going to say I never play multiplayer game these days. You just play online shooters, etc. So I'm very much single player experience these days.
You won't
Yeah,
have
it's just good to know,
control
if, like, for like
of the
even just
switch
the odd like dumb
dimension
game you
yet.
see us playing, you can be like, oh shit, I
Be
could
patient.
play that with them if I want now.
This door is using one of my inventions, the repetitive,
I mean, I've been here
periodic,
before.
articulating gruide, or a drinking bird.
I've
Except-
heard of this. Am I just going through the wrong motions now? I have done this. Am I just walking through the same thing again now, though? Being on mods for single player games, that's very true. Like Fallout and shit. That's why I really want to get in some of those derpy indie games you're playing. Yeah, for fucking real.
Well, because your glove is an early prototype, it has a few limitations
this is
in
just a
terms
tutorial
of
again.
dimension accessibility and the distance it can be from a receptacle in order to function.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm stuck in it. Return to Great Hall, yeah. So I've already done that. What's definitely a pros economy? You can also play in 60 frames per second. Yeah, man, with that particular rig, if you get that one, you'll be able to play in ridiculously nice quality.
That wasn't so bad, was it? Good job. You are extremely good at being redundant. No.
Okay, so he doesn't actually say anything there. No.
Hey, you found something. Try not to break too much.
Okay, maybe I haven't been in here. I have no idea. Tricky towers? What's tricky towers? This does look new. I'm actually going to take a quick break here, I think. I'm getting a bit of motion sickness from the field of view. So we're going to stop there for now and do a little break.